The studio glows beneath the soft blaze of morning lights. Cameras hum, cables coil, and a makeup artist gives one last swipe to a collar. Behind the glass, a producer counts down. Laughter flutters through the air, bright, nervous. Rehearsed. Another morning on Good Morning America. Polished. Predictable. Perfect, at least at first glance. At the center sits Denzel Washington, composed and deliberate, posture straight, a quiet force wrapped in a navy suit that catches every glint of the lights. His hands rest lightly on his lap, calm, centered, ready to talk about the work, the craft, the heart, the why. There's dignity in his stillness, the kind that doesn't demand attention but draws it all the same. Across from him, Michael Strahan slides into his chair with a grin that seems practiced by now. Energy floods the space, broad smile, booming laugh, the easy charm of a man who knows the camera adores him. But his jokes land a beat early. His laugh rings a touch too loud. Something in the air hums, off-key, almost imperceptibly so. "You good, Denzel?" Strahan jokes to a crew member checking mics. "Can't have the legend waiting on us, right?" The crew's laughter comes out polite, a shade too thin. Denzel offers a courteous smile, the kind meant to end a moment, not invite another. The producer's voice cuts through the glass. "We're live in 5. The countdown fills the studio like a ticking clock. Denzel straightens his sleeve. One slow breath. Strahan leans forward, grin sharpened for the lens. What the audience will see is an easy exchange. Two men talking movies over coffee. What they won't feel, not yet, is the tension humming beneath that polish. A faint tremor in Strahan's tone. A flicker behind the grin, something too proud, too careless, the cameras roll. Lights blaze, Denzel's voice low even. Strahan's smile holds, but his eyes shift, calculating. For a heartbeat, you could swear Denzel catches it. There's a stillness in him, an alert quiet, the kind born from decades in rooms exactly like this one. Applause. On cue. The segment begins, everything looks perfect. Everything sounds normal. But beneath the practiced rhythm, something trembles like glass under pressure. Invisible, but already there. The first hairline crack, then the question lands. Light as a pebble, sharp as glass. "So," Strahan says, that easy grin fixed in place. "Another drama, huh?" It should sound harmless. It doesn't. There's a small laugh from the crew, uncertain, scattered. Denzel's smile stays, a professional mask honed by years of interviews. His tone steady. "This film's personal. It's about a father and son finding their way back to each other. About forgiveness. Redemption." Right, Strahan cuts in, laughing too quickly. "So basically another sad story." The words drop like coins in water, small but deep enough to echo. You can almost hear the air shift. Someone coughs. A card flips. Denzel pauses. His expression doesn't change, but his eyes sharpen. Just a flicker. He heard it, felt it, measured it, decided to rise above it. He exhales slowly. "It's about second chances," he says, voice lower now. "About understanding where you came from so you can move forward." Strahan leans back, smirking. Sure, sounds deep." The word lands like a dare. The set feels smaller. The lights hotter. Denzel meets his gaze. The silence stretches. "Art," he says finally, quiet but certain, "should mean something. Otherwise, why do it?" Strahan chuckles low. "Of course," he says. "Of course." And just like that, the storm takes its first breath. His tone aims for casual. But the rhythm falters like someone whistling in the dark. For the first time, Denzel Washington's legendary composure flickers. Not anger, something smaller, quieter. The faint tightening of his jaw. A near invisible narrowing of the eyes. His hand shifts on the armrest, fingers pressing lightly into the leather. A movement subtle enough to miss unless you're really watching. Behind the glass, a producer glances toward the floor manager. No one speaks. No one moves. The tension has arrived, quiet and thick as humidity. Strahan clears his throat, smiling wider. Too wide. As if showing more teeth could chase away the discomfort. Denzel offers a polite nod, but his body language has changed. Something inside the conversation has turned. Still, the show goes on. The camera holds steady, the lights too bright. The audience laughs when cued, though no one's sure why anymore. If you're watching from home, you might miss it. Chalk it up to another awkward live TV moment. But in that room, everyone feels it. the sting of something crossing a line. Respect, bent just slightly out of shape. The first cut doesn't draw blood, but it leaves a mark. And in the space between forced laughter and Denzel's measured silence, a question hangs in the static. How many small cuts can he take before something gives? Strahan leans in now, elbows on the desk, his tone hardening. You know, Denzel, he says, you've had one hell of a career, no one can deny that. But don't you ever get tired of playing the same roles? The serious guy, the intense guy. You ever think about doing something unpredictable? The word unpredictable hangs there light as air, sharp as a blade. Denzel doesn't answer right away. He blinks once, slow, deliberate. Then his voice, calm and grounded. I think storytelling's about connection. If the story matters, it's worth telling. Strahan chuckles, that same rehearsed laugh he uses when the control starts to slip. Sure. But come on, you've done a lot of the same stuff, right? Serious, emotional, meaningful. Maybe people want to see you loosen up. Do something fun. The temperature shifts again, imperceptible but real. The air feels denser. The lights harsher. Crew members stop moving. Every eye flickers between the two men. Even the hum of the equipment sounds louder now. Fun can be meaningful too, Denzel says softly. But Strahan doesn't stop. The smile stays, but there's something predatory underneath it, like a cat testing a bird that refuses to flinch. I just mean, 40 years of the same kind of roles, he presses. It's impressive. But maybe your time has, passed. That last word lands like a blade, past. Laughter dies completely. Someone shifts in their chair. A cough stifled fast. Even the cameras seem hesitant, their lenses humming faintly as if unsure where to look. In the stillness, Denzel breathes, slow and deep. You learn to breathe through insult, he reminds himself, to let ignorance pass like weather, because in this world silence can speak louder than fury. But Strahan mistakes that silence for surrender. He leans back, arms crossed, smirk widening. I mean, that's just real talk, right? There's a new generation now. New energy. Maybe it's time to let them have the spotlight. The insult isn't masked anymore. It's naked, deliberate, dressed up as honesty but reeking of arrogance. For a moment the scene freezes. Two men, one smiling too wide, one perfectly still. The air feels ready to shatter. Denzel turns his head, meets Strahan's eyes. He doesn't raise his voice, doesn't blink. But the silence changes, tightens, becomes pressure. The audience stops breathing. A woman in the front row folds her arms. A cameraman swallows hard, eyes darting to the floor manager. No one dares move. Strahan shifts, realizing too late he's gone too far. But instead of retreating, he doubles down. Hey, I'm just saying what people are thinking, he says, grin faltering at the edges. No need to take it so seriously. Denzel's eyes narrow just slightly, but the entire room feels it. That quiet grace, that discipline, it's no longer serenity. It's gravity. A wave rising behind a wall. Every person in that studio senses it now. The balance has tipped. The charm of the host curdles into arrogance. The calm of the guest hardens into something unshakable. This isn't playful banter. This isn't an awkward interview. This is something else entirely, something raw, something real. This is the line being crossed. The audience feels it before anyone speaks. The shift in tone, the charged stillness, the weight in Denzel's eyes. The storm hasn't broken yet, but the thunder is close enough to hear. Silence stretches until it becomes sound itself. The hum of the lights, the faint click of a camera readjusting. Every noise feels amplified, fragile. Strahan shifts in his seat, crossing one leg over the other. His smirk falters for just an instant. Denzel doesn't move. His stillness has gravity, an invisible pull that centers the entire room. Then quietly, almost gently, he speaks. Tell me, Michael, Denzel says, voice low, steady. How long have you been doing this hosting thing? The words are soft, but they cut through the air like a slow blade. Strahan blinks. I don't know. A few years, I guess. Why? Denzel nods once, deliberate. A few years, a pause. And in those years, have you learned anything about respecting your guests? A ripple runs through the room. Someone exhales, a sound between a laugh and a gasp. Behind the camera, a crew member fights the urge to smile. The shift is instant. The balance of power, once firmly Strahan's, slides decisively toward Denzel. Strahan laughs nervously, hands raised in mock surrender. Whoa, hey, I'm just having a conversation here, man. Denzel's gaze doesn't waver. No, he says evenly. You're not having a conversation. You're performing. The words land with quiet precision. Strahan's smile stiffens. Performing? He echoes, trying to keep it light. Come on, don't be so sensitive. I'm just asking questions. Denzel leans forward slightly. His tone remains calm, but there's iron beneath it. Asking questions, he repeats slowly, like tasting something bitter. Is that what you call it? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds a lot more like provocation. Strahan tries to cut in, but Denzel continues. Each word colder, cleaner. You mistake disrespect for honesty. You confuse provocation with journalism. The air freezes. Behind the glass, the control booth goes silent. A producer mouths something no one hears. On camera, Strahan's confidence begins to crack. The smile twitching at the edges, eyes darting for an exit that doesn't exist. Denzel doesn't press. He doesn't need to. The silence finishes the sentence for him. He sits back, hands folded loosely, gaze unwavering. The quiet between them grows heavy, electric. Even the air feels like it's listening. Strahan forces a laugh. Man, you're making this sound worse than it is. He glances toward the crew for rescue. None comes. Denzel's eyes stay locked on him. Calm, unblinking, absolute. Not angry. Just certain. The camera tightens its frame, drawn instinctively to Denzel's face. The faint gleam in his eyes, the restraint like a wire drawn taut. This isn't about being sensitive, he says softly. It's about respect. You don't invite someone to talk about their work just to mock it. That's not conversation. That's not curiosity. That's theater. No one moves. The audience is transfixed, caught in the strange electricity of a man reclaiming his dignity without raising his voice. Strahan's jaw tightens. All right, he mutters, low and defensive. You've made your point. Denzel's gaze doesn't shift. Not yet, he says after a beat. Then almost kindly, I'm not trying to make a point. I'm just not going to let you turn this into a performance at my expense. The words are final, controlled, unshakable. Strahan exhales through his nose, forcing a smile back into place. But the charm is gone. The mask has slipped. A long, heavy beat passes. The hum of the lights feels louder now. Denzel doesn't move, but everyone can feel it. The balance has changed. The control is his, and he never had to raise his voice to take it back. Strahan laughs weakly. Guess I walked right into that one. Denzel gives a small nod, the faintest hint of a smile, one that doesn't comfort, only confirms. The silence that follows is thick, undeniable. Everyone in the room knows what just happened. The tables turned. The performer became the subject. And Michael Strahan, for the first time that morning, has nothing left to say. Well, Strahan says, his voice catching slightly, we can, talk about the film now if you want. The words hang there like a lifeline thrown too late. Denzel looks at him, calm, unreadable. Then softly, no. He shakes his head once. Because you don't care about the film. The air thickens. It's as if the whole room exhales at once but forgets to breathe again. Every movement slows, reverent, cautious. Denzel's tone stays low, almost gentle, but the weight behind it could level a building. You mocked my work, he says evenly. You mocked my time. My relevance, he pauses, lets it land. I don't have to sit here for that. There's no anger. Just a calm so absolute that it vibrates through the silence. The studio hum fills the space. Lights buzzing, a chair creaking as someone shifts. Strahan's smirk falters into alarm. He leans forward, one hand half raised. Wait, he starts, his voice cracking around the edges. Wait, you can't just... Denzel moves. Not with haste, but with precision. He reaches up, unhooks his microphone, and folds the wire neatly into his palm. The click of the mic landing on the table echoes through the room like a gunshot. He rises, slow, composed, unshakable. Yes, he says, his voice filling every inch of the studio. Yes, I can. And I am. No one breathes. Strahan rises too, instinctively, his confidence stripped bare. Denzel, come on, he pleads, a nervous laugh slipping out. Don't do this. We're live. Denzel's gaze doesn't waver. Steady, almost kind. Then I guess you'll have to figure out how to fill the time. The words hit like judgment. A camera operator lowers his rig. The audience sits frozen, unsure whether they're witnessing television or something closer to truth. Denzel takes a single deliberate step back. His shadow stretches long across the glossy studio floor. The lights trace his face, calm, resolute, unbroken. He turns slightly toward the main camera, not for drama, but for closure. This isn't anger, his silence says. This is boundary. Look, man, Strahan stammers. If I came across wrong, I apologize. Let's just start over, okay? Denzel stops mid-step. Looks at him. No, he says quietly. Because an apology meant to save face isn't an apology. It's damage control. And I'm not here to help you manage your damage. Strahan flinches, grasping at anything. You're making me look bad, he blurts out, voice small. Denzel almost smiles, when not unkindly but knowingly. No, he says. You did that yourself. I'm just refusing to help you hide it. He turns to go. For a heartbeat, everything stills. Cameras, crew, even the blinking lights in the control booth. The sound that follows isn't a slam, but the quiet scrape of a chair, the whisper of shoes against the floor. The mic cable slips from the desk, a soft metallic clink that echoes like a full stop. Every eye follows him. Every breath feels like trespass. Strahan stands frozen, mouth slightly open, waiting for words that won't come. His hand lifts halfway, then falls. At the edge of the set, Denzel pauses. The studio lights halo around him, framing his silhouette like the final image of a film. He turns just enough to meet Strahan's eyes. This, he says, calm as ever, is the consequence. Strahan's voice is barely a whisper. Consequence? Denzel nods once. You can't treat people poorly and expect them to sit here and take it. Not everyone plays along with your game. No malice. Just truth. Cold, clean, undeniable. Strahan looks ready to speak again, but nothing comes. His practiced charm is dissolved. All that remains is silence, the kind that exposes everything. Denzel glances toward a crew member. Their eyes meet, a flicker of respect. The crew member steps aside. As Denzel walks off, each step lands with deliberate weight. The room feels heavier with everyone, the air dense with something between shame and awe. He never looks back. He doesn't need to. Behind him, a mic hits the floor with a final metallic echo. The lights still blaze, but they feel colder now. Strahan stands alone in the glow, hands limp at his sides, the host of a show that no longer belongs to him. Around him, no one speaks. Denzel Washington exits the frame exactly as he entered it, head high, shoulders straight, dignity intact. He doesn't storm out. He doesn't shout. He simply leaves, and that somehow says everything. He doesn't storm out. He simply exits, leaving the weight of his absence hanging in the air like smoke after a fire. The cameras keep rolling. What's left is the hum of the lights, the faint echo of a microphone hitting the floor, and the one truth no edit can erase. Respect once lost cannot be cut back in. For a long, suspended moment, no one moves. The door Denzel walked through swings once, twice, then stills. The soft click of it closing is the only sound alive in the room. Strahan stands frozen mid-frame, hand still half raised, palm open to nothing. The cameras continue, but he's no longer looking at them. His eyes fix on the empty chair across from him. The mic's red light blinks on the table like a stubborn heartbeat refusing to stop. The seat still holds his presence. Behind the glass, a producer starts to move, then hesitates. Another crew member glances toward the control booth, silently asking whether to cut to commercial. No signal comes. Everyone is suspended in the same stunned paralysis, caught between disbelief and awe. The lights, once warm, now feel cold, exposing rather than illuminating. They cast long, fractured shadows that stretch toward the empty chair, reaching for what's already gone. Strahan finally exhales, a shaky breath that barely finds its way out. He forces a brittle laugh. Well, he says, glancing toward the nearest camera, that was unexpected. No one laughs. No one even breathes. He scans the room for reassurance, but finds only faces fixed somewhere between pity and quiet judgment. Someone lowers their headset. Another pretends to adjust notes that don't need adjusting. The silence roars, and in that silence the truth settles. This wasn't a segment gone off script, not a clever PR stunt. It was real, raw, irreversible. The host, who always had a line ready, suddenly has none. His practiced charm has evaporated. leaving only the echo of dignity walking away. He straightens his jacket, trying to rebuild a facade already cracked. We'll be right back, he stammers. His voice trembles just enough to betray the act. The red light fades to black. The cameras click off. For a moment, no one moves, as if the air itself might shatter if they do. Then slowly, the crew begins to stir. A floor manager whispers, "Cut." But even off-air, no one dares to speak above a whisper. The echoes linger, the soft shuffle of someone picking up the fallen mic, the hum of the lights thinning to a low buzz. Strahan sinks into his chair, eyes fixed on the empty space across from him. The seat still feels occupied, alive with the weight of everything unspoken. He opens his mouth, maybe to explain, maybe just to breathe, but no words come. His reflection stares back at him from the polished tabletop, two versions of himself, both equally lost, and in that quiet something becomes clear. Not every loss is loud. Not every victory draws applause. Sometimes the most unforgettable moment on live television isn't the question asked, but the silence that follows when the answer has already been given. And in that silence, Michael Strahan finally understands. He isn't just alone on that set. He's exposed. Outside the studio, the hallway feels like another world, lighter, cleaner. The tension of the stage dissolves into quiet air. A crew member by the door freezes as Denzel approaches. Unsure whether to speak, they step aside. Denzel nods, a silent thank you, and continues forward. Morning light spills in from the far end of the corridor, soft, natural, untouched by studio glare. It washes over him as he walks, calm and unhurried. No music. No applause. Just the quiet rhythm of his footsteps, fading into peace. Behind him, through the cracked studio door, the air still hums with the residue of truth. The chair remains empty. The microphone lies where it fell, its red light finally dimming to black. That room, once filled with noise and performance, now sits in reverent stillness. He entered as a guest. He left as a man who remembered his worth. There's no triumph in his stride. No anger. No need to look back. What happened wasn't spectacle. It was choice. The quiet kind, made by someone who knows the line between dignity and display. The light ahead grows brighter. Outside, the day continues, as if nothing happened. As if the world didn't just witness a masterclass in restraint, because respect doesn't need applause, it only needs presence. And in that calm, wordless exit, Denzel Washington leaves behind something louder than any confrontation, an example of what strength looks like when it refuses to shout.